Guys, we have a big news story to talk about today. One of the most prohibitive things about Microsoft's dual screen phone, the Surface Duo or Surface Duo 2, has long been its launch price, always been well over $1,000. A lot of people have said, man, I wish there was a cheaper, mid-rangey version of Surface Duo. Perhaps something that went away from the glass construction and used something like plastic, which might be less likely to shatter. Also, use a mid-range chipset to maybe extend the battery life a little bit. Performance would likely still be just fine and get that price down. Well, guys, it looks like Microsoft had the same thought as you. They just didn't think enough about it to actually bring it to market, because we have here a headline: Windows Central by Zach Bowden, of course, canceled mid-range Surface Duo leaks with dual camera array and a plastic exterior. We're going to dive into everything we can possibly talk about in regard to this thing we are looking at. Now, this is actually something that I first heard about maybe a week to 10 days ago in a conversation I was having with someone with some insider information, and they expressed to me that they knew that this thing existed, that it had been canceled, but they had been unable themselves to locate imagery of this device. Of course, I Googled as much as I possibly could. I went to the Wayback Machine and I searched any way that I possibly could to try and find this imagery, but I was unable to locate anything to use. Now, fortunately, Zach, I believe, was able to actually fully see the listing there on eBay, and then just needed the time to actually verify that it was real before bringing the report to everyone. So luckily, he has been able to do that, and we now have this thing to talk about. And talk about it we shall. There's a lot of things we can glean from this simply by looking at it, obviously. We do not know what the price was going to be on this device. We don't really have any inclination towards that, but you can see this is a plastic build. You can see the plastic actually wraps around the backside. On the traditional OG Surface Duo, you get to about here and then it switches to that aluminum there on the hinge. This looks like plastic going all the way around. On the back side, you can see that it is a dual camera setup. I'm not sure if this is a standard and an ultra wide, or perhaps it is a telephoto. We are not sure. Of course, there is an LED flash. You can also notice, I don't know that this bump is necessarily smaller. It might be smaller, but there's definitely the illusion of being smaller because the plastic actually curves up around the camera bump. I would assume that it is angled like Duo 2 is so that it can actually snap all the way around and sit in phone mode a bit more flush. Looks like a power button and a volume rocker there. I would imagine this is probably an integrated fingerprint sensor because I don't visually see the fingerprint sensor. I could be wrong. Maybe it just isn't visible from this angle. We do not have curved displays, right? This is a flat display all the way across, so they're going to save some money on that as well, which means no glance bar on this device. But as you can see here, it was functional as you get a further look here of the device actually in action. I would love to know how this individual, one, got a hold of this thing, and then two, I would love to know who purchased it, because ostensibly someone is now the proud owner of this device. Man, I would love to see some content, some stuff about this device really broken down. Hey, if you're the person that bought it, you know where to find me. So what does this mean? Microsoft made a mid-range Surface Duo 2, kind of, maybe call it a Surface Duo 2 Lite. That was how it was sort of described to me in the conversations that I had, but maybe you could also call, as Zach does, a Surface Duo Go, which I think makes a lot of sense. Well, you could look at this a couple of different ways. Did they make this thing thinking that maybe Duo 2 would do better and that it made sense to then get this Go or Lite version out, and then they had some reason to pull it? Did this not quite reach their standards, so they weren't ready to reach it, and they still fully intend to expand the Surface Duo line later? Personally, I don't have any intel on this, although Zach does kind of hint towards the idea that they maybe still have intention of expanding the line and producing a cheaper variant of Surface Duo later, and the reasoning for why this was pulled and canceled is somewhat mysterious. So it seems like the original plan was for this thing to launch sometime later this year, but sometime late last year, the decision was made to kind of go all hands on deck on Surface Duo 3. As we've spoken about here many times, Duo 3 is very, very important. It's the last Surface Duo that they were approved, the Surface team was approved to develop in Duo 3 needs to show Microsoft something for the line to continue. Now, I don't think this thing is going to have to sell iPhone levels, as I talked about in an earlier video, but I do think it needs to sell a bit better. So perhaps they felt like they were splitting their attention and they needed to focus on the full fat Duo 3 and then come back around to the Duo Lite or Go idea at a later date. Personally, I'm kind of a little bit gutted that this thing does not exist. I would love to see this thing actually come to market. And I think a lot of people also would like to see this, something under $1,000, let's say, that could be this entry point into the dual screen experience. Hopefully Microsoft does come back around to this very, very soon. Android 12L is still in development. Duo 3, the design might not be final just yet. Is it going to be dual screen? Is it going to be a single 360 folding OLED? We are not sure, but we do know it's coming and it's very important, so much so that Microsoft has canceled this Duo Lite to focus on it. So as always, link in the description. Hats off to Zach for pulling this article together. I have not shown you everything in the article, so definitely go click this link in the description and go read the article. Go give Zach the click because he has 100% earned it. Go do that now. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.